The summer heat pressed down on the asphalt like a heavy blanket. Dr. Maya Chen pulled her silver sedan into the parking lot of Lou's Diner, a small roadside stop somewhere between Nashville and Atlanta. She had been driving for hours, and her stomach growled with hunger. The diner looked ordinary enough, with its faded red awning and flickering neon sign that read "Best Coffee in Tennessee." Maya stepped out of her car, stretching her legs after the long drive. She wore a simple blue sundress and sunglasses, her natural hair pulled back in a neat bun. She just wanted a meal, maybe some coffee, and then back on the road. Nothing complicated, but complicated found her anyway. "Hey! You there!" A sharp voice cut through the afternoon air. Maya turned to see a police officer striding toward her, his hand resting on his belt. His nameplate read Winters. Officer Dale Winters was a broad-shouldered man in his late 40s, with a sun-weathered face and cold gray eyes that locked onto Maya with immediate suspicion. "Yes, officer." Maya kept her voice calm, steady. She had lived through enough of these moments to know the script by heart. "This your vehicle?" Winters gestured at her sedan with obvious skepticism. "Yes, it is. Registration and license." "No." His tone left no room for pleasantries. Maya reached slowly into her purse, moving with deliberate care. She pulled out her wallet and handed him her driver's license. "The registration is in the glove compartment. May I get it?" Winters snatched the license from her hand, barely glancing at it. "What are you doing in this area?" "I'm traveling through. Stopped for lunch." "Aha." He looked her up and down with naked contempt. "Fancy car for someone like you. Where'd you really get it? Boyfriend buy it? Or maybe something else?" A small crowd had begun to gather near the diner's entrance. Other customers, curious about the commotion. Some pulled out their phones. Maya's jaw tightened, but she kept her composure. "Officer Winters, I've provided my identification. I haven't broken any laws. I'd like to go inside and have my meal now. You go when I say you can go." Winters stepped closer, invading her space. "I think this car is stolen. I think you're lying to me. And I don't appreciate your attitude." "My attitude?" Maya's voice rose slightly, the first crack in her calm exterior. "I've been nothing but respectful. Don't you raise your voice at me." Winters grabbed her arm roughly, his fingers digging into her skin. The crowd gasped. Phones raised higher, recording everything. "Let go of me." Maya tried to pull away, but his grip tightened. "You're resisting." Winters yanked her forward, and Maya stumbled. Her sunglasses fell to the ground, cracking against the pavement. "I'm not resisting anything. You have no right to touch me." But Winters wasn't listening. He spun her around and shoved her against her car with brutal force. The impact knocked the wind from her lungs. Metal pressed against her cheek. Her purse fell, contents spilling across the parking lot. "Stop! Please, someone help!" A woman in the crowd called out. Winters pulled Maya's arms behind her back, wrenching them upward. Pain shot through her shoulders. "You people always think you're above the law. Always think you can just talk back and get away with it." Tears stung Maya's eyes, but not from the physical pain alone. It was the humiliation. The degradation. The fact that this was happening again, in 2025, in broad daylight, in front of dozens of witnesses. "You're hurting me," Maya said through gritted teeth. "Should've thought about that before you got smart with me." A young woman in the crowd, maybe 25, pushed forward. She was black, wearing a Howard University Law School t-shirt. Her eyes went wide as she got a clear view of Maya's face. "Oh my God," the young woman breathed. "Oh my God, do you know who that is?" "Stay back, ma'am." Winters barked at her, but the law student ignored him. She turned to the crowd, her voice shaking with a mixture of shock and fury. "That's Justice Maya Chen. That's the Supreme Court Justice. She was just confirmed 3 months ago. The parking lot went deathly silent. Winters froze. His grip on Maya loosened slightly. What? Justice Maya Chen. The student pulled out her phone, quickly searching. She held up her screen, showing a New York Times article with Maya's official portrait. The headline read, Maya Chen becomes first Asian American woman on Supreme Court. The crowd erupted in murmurs and gasps. Winters released Maya as if she'd suddenly caught fire. He stumbled backward, his face draining of color. No, that can't be right. That's impossible. Maya straightened slowly, rubbing her sore wrists. She turned to face Winters, and when she spoke, her voice carried a weight that silenced everyone within earshot. Officer Dale Winters, badge number 2847, Greenfield Police Department. Maya's voice was ice and steel. You just assaulted a Supreme Court justice based on nothing but the color of my skin. You violated my civil rights. You used excessive force. And you did it all while being recorded by at least 15 people. Winters looked around wildly at the phones pointed at him. His mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. Maya stepped forward. Despite her smaller stature, she seemed to tower over him. Do you understand what you've done? Not just to me, but to every black person, every brown person, every person of color who will see this video. You confirmed every fear we carry every single day. That we're not safe. That a badge and a uniform can be weapons of hate. I didn't know, Winters stammered. You didn't need to know who I was. Maya's voice cracked like thunder. You should never treat anyone this way. The homeless man on the corner deserves the same dignity as a Supreme Court justice. That's the whole point. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder. The law student spoke up again. I called the state police. And the FBI. This is a federal crime now. 3 more police cars pulled into the parking lot, including one from the state police. A black sergeant emerged from the lead vehicle, taking in the scene with sharp, intelligent eyes. Someone want to tell me what's happening here? Sergeant Rita Hayes asked. The crowd erupted, everyone trying to speak at once. But Maya raised her hand, and somehow, everyone went quiet. Sergeant Hayes, Maya said, reading her nameplate. I'm Justice Maya Chen, United States Supreme Court. Officer Winters detained me without cause, physically assaulted me, and violated my civil rights. Everything was recorded. She gestured to the crowd. I'd like to file formal charges. Federal charges. Sergeant Hayes' expression hardened. She walked over to Winters, who stood rooted to the spot, trembling. Badge and gun. Now. Rita, come on, I didn't know she was. I don't care if she's the Queen of England. Hayes snapped. You put your hands on an unarmed woman for no legal reason. Badge. Gun. Now. With shaking hands, Winters removed his badge and service weapon, handing them over. 2 FBI agents arrived 30 minutes later. They took statements, collected video evidence, and informed Winters of the federal investigation that would follow. Maya sat in the diner, finally getting that coffee she wanted, surrounded by people who apologized over and over for what had happened. The law student, whose name was Keisha, sat across from her. Justice Chen, I've read every one of your opinions. Your dissent in the Patterson case changed how I think about equal protection. I can't believe this happened to you. Maya smiled sadly. It happens to people who look like us every day, Keisha. The only difference is I have a title that made people pay attention. But what about everyone else? What about the Maya Chens who aren't Supreme Court justices? What are you going to do? Keisha asked. Maya looked out the window at the parking lot, where news vans were already setting up. This would be national news within the hour. International by evening. I'm going to make sure Officer Winters faces justice, Maya said quietly. Not revenge. Justice. Real accountability. And then I'm going to use my position to push for systemic change. body cameras that can't be turned off, independent review boards, mandatory anti-bias training that actually works. This moment, as painful as it is, can be a catalyst. 3 days later, Maya stood in a press conference in Washington, D.C., her wrists still bore faint bruises. The video from Greenfield had been viewed 50 million times. I don't want Officer Winters destroyed, Maya said into the microphones. I want him educated. I want him to understand the pain he's caused. And I want a system that prevents others like him from abusing their power. That's how we build a better country. Not through vengeance, but through accountability and hope. Hope that we can be better. Hope that the next generation won't have to carry the fear we've carried. That's the America I believe in. That's the America I'll fight for from the bench. Officer Dale Winters was suspended pending federal charges. The Greenfield Police Department faced a Department of Justice investigation. And across the country, people who had felt invisible finally felt seen. Maya continued her road trip the following week, finishing the journey she'd started. But now, at every stop, people approached her. Not just to take pictures or ask for autographs, but to share their own stories. Stories of fear, of resilience, of hope, and Maya listened to every single one, because that was the job. Not just the title or the role or the gavel. The job was to remember that behind every case, every decision, every law, there were real people. People who deserved dignity. People who deserved justice, and Maya Chen, Supreme Court Justice, would make sure they got it.